Welcome everybody, I'm Alison with Continental Bead Suppliers. Thank you so much for joining me. I'd love to share with you how I create this delicate little daisy chain necklace. Perfect for a summer wedding or really any special occasion. Wrap loops and jump rings bring all these elements together with this beautiful chain for a gorgeous flower-themed adornment. Let's begin. For the 16-inch daisy chain, we will be using 4 inches of the double link cable chain. Part number is CH-885. 12 inches total of the flat O-link specialty chain. Part number is CH-884, and we'll be cutting this into 2 6-inch pieces. We'll be using one 12 by 7 millimeter lobster clasp. Part number is C902. One 6 millimeter 21 gauge jump ring. Part number is JR6. 3 of the 4 millimeter 21 gauge jump rings. Part number is JR4. 18 4 millimeter crystal pearls in the white color. There will be 3 4 millimeter crystal pearls in the yellow, and that's going to be the center. That's for this little element here. We're going to be using 3 feet total of 28 gauge artistic wire. I'm using the brass wire here, and they're going to be cut into 1 foot pieces. We'll have 1 pair of chain nose pliers, 2 pairs of flat nose pliers, 1 pair of round nose pliers, and a pair of flush cutters. So we're going to begin by creating this little daisy element, which is going to be attached onto this piece of cable chain here. So to begin, we're going to take one of the foot-long lengths of wire, and we're going to thread on 6 of the 4 millimeter pearls. So we'll just pop these all on here. You just have to watch that the beads don't fall off the other end, but once we get the tail in on this, you'll see how it all kind of comes together. So we've got 4, 5, 6. So at this point we're going to take the other end here and place the wire in the opposite end, the holes of the last 2 pearls that we put on there. So just thread that through and try and keep this in a circle. Grab the tail end of each piece here and just slowly pull this along, and try and keep this loop that we've got going here centralized, so you can see it's kind of in the middle there. Just slowly pull this together. That's it, and we formed a little circle here. So the next thing we're going to do is take the yellow 4 millimeter pearl and put it on one tail. Just thread it on. And it's going to slip over. Make sure that this is nice and snug. It's going to slip over there. And then this tail that we've bent over here is going to be threaded through. We're counting 3, we're going to count 3 pearls around, so 1, 2, 3. We're going to thread the tail through this little, whoops, one just here. And it's going to come out opposite or next to the original tail. So this has to be pulled through very carefully so that we don't get any kinks in the wire and that everything lies nice and flat. You can do this also by pulling with the flat nose pliers just a little bit at the end of the wire. just to make sure that everything is lying nice and flat. So I just make sure that everything is coming together like that. So that's just sitting in there quite nicely. So where these tails cross here, you can just see it here, we're actually going to twist these wires then to form a little bit of a shank. So I like to keep the wires separated. I usually have the bottom wire sitting over the top wire, and then I pinch it between my thumb and finger. I literally just start very carefully twisting this around. And you can see it's forming a nice little even twist there. So you need to go about perhaps 2 inches to allow yourself to have plenty of wire to work with. So it's just taking your time. And we're actually going to be forming a wrapped loop. So just a little bit more. So this is about 1.5 inches here, and that's plenty. So I'm going to snip these 2 little open tails off here using the flush cutters. And you'll see there's sort of a front and a back to this this little daisy. The front is raised slightly, so this is going to be the front of the piece that's going onto this piece of chain here. So to start this bit off, we'll take the chain nose pliers and just place the wire into the tip of the plier here. Push the wire away. So make sure that it's the wire is being pushed away perpendicular to the beadwork here, because that will then give us the correct position for the wrap loop. This is just going to be a tiny little wrap loop, so I'm in perhaps 1/8 of an inch here. So the wire comes up over the top, open and close the plier again. Now the wire has gone out to the back of the piece here, so I'm just going to take the plier out because I now want to put that onto this piece of chain. So we have to find the center of the chain to be able to attach this little charm on. And the way that I do that is I just pop the last set of rings in here onto the round nose pliers, and then I'm just watching so that the chain is all lying in the same direction, all the loops are lying in the same direction. I'm going to pop that on just to give it a little bit of an idea so I can see where everything is. And I want to find the middle one, which is right here. So I'm threading this piece of wire through the center 2 links of this double link cable, just sliding it up into the loop that I formed here. And I'm going to wrap that wire around like this. You can use your finger or pliers, so nice and snug. So that's that. And I'm going to trim that tail off very carefully with the flush cutters. And then I'm just going to flatten any end in that may be sticking out there. And there we have the first little daisy sitting on there. So let's make the next one. I'll show you again how to do that. Move this one out of the way. So again, another foot length of the wire, 6 beads. So we've got, oops, 3, 4, 5, 6. So once again, these last 2 beads I'm just keeping separate, and I'm taking the other tail and going in through those 2 beads. Let me just flatten that wire out a wee bit. So there we go. Grab hold of the little tail end there, and this one, and just gently draw this again, making sure that this loop that we're forming is in the center of the piece as best we can. Pull that nice and snug. So then I'm going to take one of these ends and add the yellow 4mm pearl on. And take it all the way down to the center here. Place it in there. And again, you're counting around 3 beads, so 1, 2, 3. The tail's going in here and coming out next to this other long tail that's here. So very gently manipulating this wire so that we don't end up with a bent piece of wire. So once that's sitting there like that, I'm just going to take the pliers again and just tighten things up. Okay. So again, I like to have the top over the bottom, so I'm just moving that bottom wire there. So once again, I've separated the 2 wires, and I'm going to begin twisting again for about another 1.5 inches. So it goes quite quickly. You can see these little charms are so versatile once you get the hang of making them, and they look so pretty. You can also put a crystal in here. I usually stick whatever size bead I'm working with on the outside is usually what I use on the inside, but you can experiment with that. It certainly adds a little bit of sparkle when you put a crystal in there. So again, we have about 1.5 inches of wire here. So I'll snip these 2 tails off. Move that out of the way. And we'll create our next wrapped loop. So the chain nose pliers, just at the very tip, push the wire away. Swap up to the round. And once again, the wire is into the plier about 1/8 of an inch. So don't finish doing the wrap here. We're going to take this off and attach it onto this piece of chain again. So this time we need to count along 14 links, and that'll give us the positioning. So you have to also make sure that the links are lying in the same direction when you go to attach this next charm, so that everything lies nice and flat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that takes us right to that one right there. Pop this through. Just slide that on there. Go across this loop with the chain nose pliers again, and then start wrapping around the wire. Once again, take this off. And again, just smooth this down with the chain nose plier once again, just so there's no sharp little bits on there. And here we have two of the daisies on there. So I'm going to make the next daisy and attach it, and then I'll be back. So here we have the three little daisy charms attached onto this chain. The next thing we're going to do is attach the flat O-link specialty chain to either end of this cable chain. So we're going to take one of the 4mm jump rings and attach into the last two links here, and attach one end of this link. Make sure that that's nice and flush. We'll do the same thing on this end with another of the 4mm rings. Attach this O-link chain. There we go. Then I always like to, before I attach the lobster claw on, especially with something like this that does have a front and a back, I actually like to turn the piece around on my work table as if I'm going to pick up the necklace. So I'm right-handed. I'm going to put the lobster clasp onto the right hand of the chain here. So I'll take the last 4mm ring and open that. Attach onto the last link. Put the lobster claw on. And then we'll attach the 6mm ring onto this other end, so that the lobster has something to connect to. Okay. Then we can just join this up here. And here we have daisy chain. Such a pretty little necklace, dainty and just delightful, perfect for so many different occasions. The other thing I wanted to mention too, if you're a little nervous about trying to attach these little charms on the way that I did it as a wrap loop, you can complete the wrap loop prior to that. Just make sure that the loop that you form on the top is running in the same direction as the flower, and then you can use a little 3mm jump ring to attach them on that way if you would prefer. You find that a little bit easier. So here we are, daisy chain. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, we love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.